just tell me. So I'd like to bring the committee of the whole meeting to order Tuesday, April the 11th, 2023 at 5:09 p.m. And it's being held at the council chambers temporarily located at 38 King George Street, Lake Cowichan, BC, and transmitted electronically. And we'd like to thank our traditional territory of the Siwassins people for allowing us to conduct business on their lands. So we have introduction of any late items, please. Mayor McGonigal.
Just a leave of absence for April 25th council meeting for myself, which goes under new business.
Please. Councilor Sandu.
Under correspondence, could I add utility overage from a resident?
Under C1, utility overage. Councilor Frisbee.
I think after the last meeting, the fire chief asked and discussed about the aerial unit. About purchasing that, not that falls under the fire department report, or we want to fit that
Under finance and administration.
Finance.
finance administration. Okay.
It's out there. I recovered 88. Other. And under, oh, sorry, another one.
Yeah, so I'd just like to add under new business Darnell Road intersection.
And business would be C, yeah, Darnell Road. And under number 8C, under Public Works, I'd like to add the handicap sign at our post office. Do I have anything else? No, okay, so I'm looking for approval of the agenda with the additions. Councilor Frisbee, seconded by Mayor McGonigal, all in favor? So we'll move on to the minutes of the last committee of the whole meeting on March 14th. Councilor Sandu will move it. Looking for a seconder. Councilor Austin, any questions?
Oh, I should have, because I was checking.
No.
Okay, doesn't matter.
Comments or questions on that? Okay, so we'll move on to, I'll call the question, all in favor? Unanimous? Business arising and unfinished business, we have the council code of conduct update. We'll refer that to our CAO.
Yes, council has been keen on getting the code of conduct, council code of conduct revised and updated. And so this gave me an opportunity to go to a number of municipalities, 3 of them are specific, and get a sense of where they are in terms of the code of conduct. And you would notice that all of them that I looked at have a third-party commissioner, that Code of Ethics commissioner that looks at complaints that are directed to him or her. And it seems that's the way to go. I think you might have noticed that that's a big thing now in the States also. And so the code of conduct has been revised as we wanted it. The only thing missing from it is the commissioner's part of it. And I would think that it makes sense to add that part because I can't see council policing itself. It's not, but in fact, it's almost impossible to think that they would. So that's why these councils have looked at a third party, and it makes a lot of sense. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, McGonagall.
And I did miss that when myself and the CAO were discussing that. Most communities are going outside of their own organization, should something be come up within the code of conduct. It's not to say that you need to have that person on retainer, et cetera. It's just if something is brought forward that you would look for that outside adjudication. But further to that, if we can just go to 14, implementation and enforcement. I think it talks about 2 weeks to prepare and respond. I'm wondering if that might be 30 days instead, given that we might have to seek their legal counsel, perhaps get some advice on the process him or her would need to take. So just changing that from 2 weeks to 30 days. Just giving a little more time to prepare for the preparation. And I don't think that's much of an amendment to hold up the approval of this, but I do agree with an outside entity as well.
Just through the CAO, so is there a specific person that does this sort of,
There are a few, they qualify.
and anyone on the island?
I'll have to check on that. I think they have people on.
Okay, good. So do you want to-
I'm wondering through you to the CAO, with those 2 minor changes, would it be okay to approve this tonight? Or do you want, or to send it to council, meeting with council on 25th?
That would be appropriate.
So with those 2 amendments, I would move the code of conduct for council.
Councilor Brisbane. All in favor? Unanimous, pass. We'll send that off to next meeting. Okay, and tonight we have Phyllis McLaren regarding sidewalks on North Shore Road as a delegation. And so welcome. And you have 10 minutes. And if you require longer, then we'll ask our council members. We're probably here so the owl can hear you. Don't worry, we're all nervous. And if you just state your name again and where you live.
Okay, I'm Phyllis McLaren, and I live at 243 North Shore Road in Lake Township. I'm here with my neighbor, Mike Worley, we want to know if there is any plans in the near future for a sidewalk being built on North Shore Road. As to walk there now, it's just plain dangerous. I've lived here for about 4 years and have watched the town expand and grow, especially down North Shore where there is much new development. We have no alternative where to walk or anything. We have to walk on the road, which is like a highway. Traffic has increased dramatically, and not everyone respects the speed limit. It's only a matter of time before someone gets badly hurt. That's more or less. I just want to thank everyone for hearing me out, and there are plans. And if there are plans to build a sidewalk, if and when will that be done? It's not just myself and my neighbor, it's that whole community, and there and people are jogging on there, pushing their strollers, walking their dogs and everything. And we've got about a foot walk or anything else. And like I said, there's kids on bicycles and everything. And there's going to be a really bad accident one of these days because the traffic, it's out of control, to say the least. They're going to 60 and 80 kilometers up there now along that road. And it's even worse, like in the winter time or anything else like this. I go to the gym every other day and I walk to it. And I was just about hit not too long ago. And the guy just came around the corner by the weir. And he didn't see me. And like I said, I couldn't jump in, or I did jump into the snowbank. But and he did miss me and everything, but it was pretty scary. And that's about all I have to say about it.
Well, thank you. We don't make decisions tonight at the table, but no, if any of the council members can ask some questions.
Okay.
Mayor McGowan.
I just want to thank you for coming and bringing that to our attention. This isn't the first time that we have discussed it. There has been some preliminary work done in the past on what would be needed to accommodate the engineering, et cetera, to move a sidewalk similar to what is in the First Nations development, extending that.
Yes.
But again, it would take some engineering prowess and considerable funds to move that forward. So it has been looked at in the past, and I would certainly want to move this to public works for future discussions. So I will ask that this be put forward for future discussions and future budgetary considerations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome. No more questions?
In the meantime, stay safe.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Another delegation is here. Yes, it is. Ryan, right?
Somebody else.
On behalf of Ryan or?
I am here for Ryan.
Oh, okay, so welcome. And if you want
Want me
to
to
state,
move?
yeah, sure, if you want to
Okay.
state your name and
My name is Dawn Williams, and I live here in Lake Fountain. Do you need my address?
Yes.
29 Nelson Road. And I'm here for the baseball field. We are asking that the town will put plugs in for bases, like the drop-in bases. CVRD has already done that for us this year. We're asking about the bathrooms in the clubhouse situation, a concession, the bleachers, a playground or something for the kids. Even shade would be good. And then who's responsible for like cleaning the bathrooms? And shouldn't it be the town's responsibility? A little speech here. It's embarrassing hosting people from out of town at our town fields with little space for fans to sit, old outdated bathrooms, out past right field. Bases are not with the plugs and into the ground, and they are unsafe. We have multiple people falling every year because of these bases sliding out from under them. We use the CVRD fields more for tournaments because they have all of these things and they are safer for us to use. And I think it's just unfortunate that the town has put in the grants and then it didn't get finished for it to go through, and that was many years ago. And that we can't use the field as much as we can.
anyone have any questions for Dawn? We don't make decisions
Okay.
at the table, but if anybody wants to. Where we want to go?
How are you tonight? Is my truck okay at your house?
Yeah.
For those who don't know, that is my son's.
My daughter-in-law, like it's just
Yeah.
easier to say
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah.
My son, so. My son's. Boss. If you have been watching the budget process, we did approve a bathroom implementation in this year's budget.
Okay,
So the bathroom has been approved and finalized. for-
and it'll be moving to a more easier accessible
Bring it
area.
onto the east side, I believe is the intent of placement of that. As
Okay.
for the other considerations, I think a lot of those small ones could be perhaps utilized in operational. I'm not sure as to the ballpark, and that would be a capital, or the playground would be a capital project. And we've already
Right, but even we have, there's like stacked of bleachers there. Why are they not moved? They're only on one side. So people can only sit on one side instead of both sides of the field that we use. But even for both, the other one I used to have, I haven't looked lately, but I think it's got it on both sides as well.
So have a look at the budget discussion where the bathroom was
Okay.
implemented and the future plans for that.
Okay.
Would be expansion of that if possible into a concession store.
Yeah, so it's like a clubhouse type thing. I understand that. Yeah, and just something for shade, because that field is the desert.
Indeed. But we appreciate you showing up tonight, and those discussions will continue on when the opportunity arises for grant funding. We will definitely consider that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just a question on the plugs.
Yeah.
So what exactly that's?
So it's a drop-in base, so it's like a thing in the ground that's like a square, and then these bases drop into them, so they're always in the same spot.
Okay.
And we have asked before about getting them put in, and we were told it was unsafe because they're gonna use it for like Babe Ruth League or something like that, but they have caps on top of them as well. So when you take the base out, you put the cap on it. And if you wanna go look at Yubo or Masachi, they have also just put these in. And they approved it in their budget and everything. And like, we'll supply the bases or whatever, but it's just safer and easier for everybody having them instead of bases sliding out.
If I may just piggyback on that, if you look at the little hoop field, we do have those plugs in two different alignments for different age groups. So when they're not utilized for the smaller group, the plastic plugs go on to cover those, and then the other bases are utilized for that.
I'll just follow through that. So how expensive are these? Do you have any idea?
Oh, Ryan, you, because he looked into it, but I don't think it was more than $500. We discussed it at many meetings, like for ourselves and stuff, but they aren't. And like, we as a league would pay, we've just always been told that we can't, but now that the CDRD has done it for us, it's just safer.
So can I just ask that you maybe send this cost that you
Yep.
have to council and to our CAO?
Yep.
And then we can bring it forward at next month's meeting at our
Okay.
committee of the whole.
Yep.
And then at least we have an idea to what the cost is
Mhm.
and that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, and our league has no problem paying for it to be done. We just want to know that if we can get it done or how it goes about, but I will get Ryan to send you guys that stuff. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Oh, sorry. one more.
So, when we do get the field up to scratch as far as washrooms,
Mhm.
maybe concessions only, how much busier is that field gonna be? Like, how many tournaments are we missing out on?
We are, you really as a league, like we are doing a tournament coming up in 21st of April. But we want to host more tournaments. This one's just going to be like our icebreaker kind of thing, just to try it out. But we would really enjoy doing it, but we're going to Masachi, I think, for that one. But baseball has had many tournaments in this town over the years and have brought in a lot of business, and us as a league, we would like to get that all started up again and hosting more tournaments, but we just don't have the space for it, or like the facilities, basically, the space is there, facility is not safe enough. So ideally, we would like to throw on a couple tournaments a year and stuff, and then our league, we play quite a bit, but we don't utilize the town field. And with our playoffs even, like 1 or 2 games might be there, and then we all head out to Yuba.
And then just to piggyback on that, does the CBRD charge you guys a field fee?
No, they do not. And it's not, most places that we do, we are lucky that they don't charge us a field fee. And it's not something that we wouldn't as a league do.
Yeah.
Because we charge fees. But yeah, it's more that, yeah, we just want the field to be good.
So do we. would.
Yeah, I know, I understand that. It is, but yeah, it's just an unsafe environment and for everybody. Any more questions?
Before you get up again.
Yeah, I'm squatting today.
Wait till she gets.
I was just gonna ask, whether the superintendent can answer, or the mayor, if the ball, group did purchase those plugs, whether it would be a budget item for us to have public works put them in,
No, it shouldn't be.
it shouldn't
It's just
be.
any kind of contribution.
So
Okay,
do we have to wait for an approval, like? How do we go?
Well, if you're buying the
Yeah,
equipment, then we will just stop.
so we are allowed to then?
Well,
If-
just wait.
Okay.
We're going back and forth.
We don't make decisions,
Yeah.
during delegations, we'll
Right, I'll-
have that information on the pricing sent to us for
Okay.
consideration.
Yeah.
Once that goes to the next meeting and is approved or not approved, we'll be informed, and then we'll go from there. How's that?
So then we still have to say, oh, we'll buy them, or can we say that we will buy
You
them?
can
as-
say that in your email. that
Okay.
You are willing to purchase that as an in-kind purchase.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
and so,
thanks for
oh,
joining.
one
Oh,
more.
one more.
One more, we're not letting you off that easy. The question was to our superintendent, what was the time frame for the wash ones? Would they be? Is it this year or? when
We're
looking at?
hoping to, yeah,
Could be.
I guess that we gotta,
Probably not for this year, fall, could you?
yeah. all
Season
starting.
starts May, doesn't it?
We start on April 25th, because we're having our tournament on the 21st. Weekend, so yeah,
Well, they might be done this year, but it won't be.
or
for
ball,
balls.
because yeah, we're not going until August again like last year. But we do want to have like fall league and stuff as well, once we get a facility.
So the piggyback to that one then is if they can't be installed this year, was there porta potties last year
No,
provided?
I think they got, the other league is bringing in, porta potties.
And we have the other bathrooms there that are still usable, it's just a long way to go. And they're creepy.
Well, at least we know that they're coming down the wire.
Yeah.
So,
We put some lighting in them last year. And cleaned them up some,
So
but,
it's not the bricks.
the user groups make quite a mess of it. It's disheartening for staff to go clean them up, after users have been.
Right, which we were discussing that in the day play, but most people, like, I find that they don't even use them.
Somebody does, because they're quite a
Probably
mess. I got
somebody's
pictures
children.
of them from.
Oh, do you? Okay, so then that's something as a league.
The ball players, because.
Yeah.
Because last year, at one time, I told them to lock them up, because we're not there to clean that kind of mess up.
No, absolutely not, and I only ever unlock the ladies. The gates are hard to open. But nuts. Okay, so we will discuss that part too, so people look after their children.
They respect it.
Yeah,
okay, thank you.
we're good?
Yeah. We'll let you go.
Oh, what?
Maybe she gets for the care.
You don't have to go to the gym now.
That's what.
Okay, so we're moving on to correspondence
Madam
now.
Chair, I would like to declare a conflict of interest for this one summer series. Band will be performing at that.
Oh, no, maybe.
I will step aside.
They can if they want. They can stay or they can.
And so as a delegation, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. We're not gonna lock the door and make you stay.
Sure, I will be back more to see this. This is great,
Perfect.
but,
And then if not, you can also watch online.
YouTube,
We
absolutely.
live stream and you can go in at any time.
I
to
will do
watch.
that.
Thank you
It's
for.
a more interesting these days. So. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for coming.
We're all dismissed now?
Dismissed.
Just like school.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you all,
Thank you.
and I will put that out there and we will have a big.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, so we're moving on to Cowichan Lake Arts and Culture regarding a request for granting aid for their summer outdoor concert series. And it looks like they are looking for a $3,000 grant in aid. So,
Yeah, March 1st is the deadline for application. And this request has come in the form of a letter and not through the grant and aid application forms, which would spell out the requirements. So really, and at this stage of the game, we have only what, $1,800 left in the budget, but there are other groups that may want to come in and also request money.
yeah.
It's up to you.
Councillor Austin, I was looking at my right first.
I forgot what I was gonna say now. I know it's late, but could they send in if they got the proper form and
They have to send in the financial.
their financial statement and
Yeah.
all that, so they didn't look that up online, okay.
So would a member of staff contact
We
them
will,
and tell them that they need the other form?
okay.
Councillor Sandy?
I noticed, I didn't realize there was a time frame of applying, because in my term, we've done it all year. If there's money there, even right through to the end, a couple times. So kind of find that policy a little misleading. Having said that, is we only budget $3,000 in total. So I think we need to be in your reply to them that that's our budget. So we don't.
Yeah.
Just so they understand that.
They wouldn't get that.
Councillor Bisbee?
Yeah, other concerts that have been put on like this in the past in town have been privately funded through the businesses that benefit off of these. So, I mean, maybe that could be an avenue that they look through is for private funding. I know that the concerts on the one that was put on, what was it, 75 years?
75th, yeah,
75th. That was all privately funded through the businesses that were directly impacted by that. So maybe that might be an avenue that I want to visit as well.
Councillor Austin?
whoever. They do get some funding from the CBRD under the arts and I think it's
5,500.
yeah, so they're not without, but that would, if they can get a form in, we could give them something, I'm sure, at some point, because it is a valuable group for our community. I have them coming to July 1st. They're gonna do face painting and stuff with the kids. So it is a valuable group, so they just need to know they need their form and financials.
Yeah, the other thing to remember is as soon as we announce it's $1,800 left, there may be other groups that are also.
Yeah, we can't give them that amount.
We don't have to tell them how much, just that it would never be that full amount.
Yeah, just, I think we will leave that amount out.
Yes.
And it was fine.
Yeah, because with COVID, we didn't have user groups for 2 years. So that's why we had money still left over.
We always
But
seem to
you
have about
can't-
500 left
Like
over.
we can't expend it all to one group, unfortunately. So,
I'm just wondering, like, is any of this volunteer in the sense of people that come and play at these things? Like, to me, this is something that would be, you volunteer your time
I
to
think
your
they do.
community, right? I'm just throwing that because we're live, so.
it's true.
I think some of them are getting food.
Okay, so we'll leave that with staff then. I guess somebody want to call the mayor back in.
What?
All right.
You're both.
Yeah, you're not gonna do it.
The next one, I guess, from the Cowichan Lake Arts and Culture regarding the Easter egg art bombing of Cowichan Lake. And so I guess this is more for information, being it's already passed. And the eggs are pretty cute, and I took the time to see them. They're nice little are displayed by the students. So from there, we're going on to C1, which is utility overage from a resident of Lake Cowichan.
Start with that, Madam Chair, if possible. Thank you very much, and we all received correspondence from a resident on an overage within his utilities. And as such, I thought that it only appropriate that we did receive that correspondence, that we did deal with it. The appeal for the resolution was not approved. So the letter came to mayor and council for our input. And I know we try not to get into the day-to-day operations of the corporation, but if you look at the organizational chart of Lake Cowichan, the constituents are number 1, mayor and council are number 2, the CAO was number 3, and then it moves down the list. So I thought it was only appropriate that we at least discuss it for consideration. I think during the implementation of water metering, the major focus was on conservation, remediation of any deficiencies, and the application of forgiveness in the case that it is remediated. So that is why I wanted to have the discussion in an open meeting and to have that at least discussed publicly.
Councillor Sunday.
Well, just under the policy, the water utility leak and bill adjustment policy, so under that, it says only 1 leak adjustment per property for an existing building shall be permitted. So do we ever look at this policy if the resident follows?
We do, and I can speak to that. The thing to remember is, you read that policy. Mr. Was no names?
No, no,
Doesn't fall under that policy. First of all, it's a leak. He admitted there was no leak. He admitted he left a valve running open, so there was no leak. The second part of it, you need a plumber to assess where the leak is and fix it, which he didn't do. So I mean, if you want to break the policy as it is and just look the other way, then you will have to get rid of this policy for all intents and purposes. Now, we make applications for grants. This is what we have to send. And so I think you've got to be very careful that you don't just willy-nilly write off. And this was, we do this for the water treatment grant, and we did this for the sewer treatment. So if you start getting people breaks on account of favoritism or knowing them, then we're on the road to something that we shouldn't be doing. And you've got a policy, you've established a policy, and so if you don't want to stick by it, then you should get rid of the policy. And I think we use this policy to our benefit.
Councillor Austin.
Well, I read over the policy quite a few times too, and it says 1 leak adjustment for a property from an existing building should be permitted, but a letter must be submitted within 30 days of the leak. First of all, if it wasn't a leak, then that is not, the right term that the person had given. And if they did not receive a letter within 30 days, then that would not work. And I know lots of people have had leaks. I had one. I checked with the town right away to make sure it wasn't the town. And I paid it. We fixed a leaky toilet and a greenhouse. So I think if you have a policy and our staff is following through on the policy and the people have a problem with that, well, that's the policy. And it's there for everybody to see. And I don't have a problem with it at all.
In my old age, I've forgotten the correspondence that we received there. Can someone summarize this for me? So there was an original, oh, that's right. To summarize, there was an original leak, which they were accredited for, and then there's a secondary not leak. And they've asked for forgiveness on that.
Yeah.
The first one was forgiven,
I'm not sure what
First one was paid.
it was paid, so there was no forgiveness on the first one, it was paid.
Okay. No, forgiveness. What, 20, it was a $25 grant.
It's a small
I
one.
don't know, I don't even know if it was illegal or what.
So this one here, I mean, we do our best and we're diligent when we make policies.
Yeah.
But there's always exceptions to the policy because you don't foresee what may come up
Then you
down
have
the
to,
road. And then, so
Yeah.
I know the policy would have to be changed to reflect
Correct.
these extenuating circumstances. It was my understanding that it was because of a rebuild on a property that these lines got under a sidewalk, so it was hard to know that they were there.
Yeah.
And when we have the policy that says, yes, that there's one time on one property,
for relief.
it's, and it is a leak if it's underneath a sidewalk that you didn't know was there. And it has been fixed and now there's no further. So my understanding was obviously if it was to happen again, then, he would be able to come back the second time.
Well, the issue is we have other people, we have a lady living on Grand Lake Road that had a water main break. She ended up with a bill of over $3,000. She did not fight the issue because it wasn't great. She could have, she could have come to council, same as happening now. And, you have to be consistent. You got to treat everybody the same. If you start treating people differently, then that's the issue that, why we have the ethics issue that comes up, because council is treating one resident better than somebody else. So, I mean, you give us the authority to deal with a policy, or you take it away from us. You deal with it on an individual basis.
So the other circumstance was that, is it a difference between a leak and break?
That was, I wasn't leak, because it was a break, it's a leak.
And she never came to,
She didn't,
to ask
yeah,
for
she
forgiveness.
she repaired it and she paid it over time. Because she felt she was responsible.
so she never asked for forgiveness of it.
No,
Did you have anything to add, Ms. Gill?
Yeah, the only, and not only, well, regardless of whether it's a leak or not a leak, we also look at, the way the policy is written is they have to outlay money to repair. And he was asked for a plumbers bill, he openly admitted that there was no plumbing bill, that he was not owed any costs to fix.
and one other thing, he had gone to Public Works and they had reviewed the whole process. And they did not feel that he was entitled to any so that's the other thing, I think maybe the superintendent can speak to it himself, and I think, PP had both been on site and felt that he was not entitled to anything.
Yeah, the foreman was on site a few times. I actually didn't go on to the site. I spoke to him on the phone a few times. It was a cap or something, I think that was left.
That's all, yeah, so
An
it was
old
not,
cap that was left on and, he, sort of claimed he didn't realize it was there. It was, but I don't know.
He has been left on.
That's what it
Yeah,
says.
this is the first time, but
That's what it says.
That's where.
Can I get clarification on the previous leak that he's quoting of $25 for the overage? That can't have been the full amount of overages. Wouldn't the overage be?
it depends on the amount of cubic meters. Right? Some people get an overage of $2, $3, $4.
So,
That was, I think he did use that money.
yeah,
It wasn't a leak at the time.
okay.
It was a long time ago when originally when we put in meters, he used to be over quite a bit, but we weren't charging at that time. Because the meetings came into force 2014. I think.
yeah.
2013 was just everybody was given a chance to take care of their own usage.
Yeah, I just want to, so, Joseph, when you talked about consistency with the policy, is when something like this happens, are the residents that come forward, are they informed of this policy?
Yes,
And so everyone is?
well, when they come in and they question it, yeah,
Okay.
most people,
So if a resident, a last year resident came to you and would have qualified under this, but it was denied. So it was denied.
yeah, because, but they have to show a permit, so-
They did.
and it has to be within, there's a time frame.
If within finding the leak. I'm not going to get this office.
Mayor McGonigal.
And I know this is a difficult one, and it's nothing on personality. It's because of the correspondence that was sent to all mayor and council on this issue. I did visit the site to see where the leak was, and there was no way that anyone would have realized that pipe was under the sidewalk and hooked into the outlet under the basement. With 700 and some odd cubic meter of overage, that is a significant leak. It would have been considerably more had it not been identified by a plumber. There was a bill submitted within a correspondence that was sent to us for that identification, at least. And that's the only reason I bring it forward. It has nothing to do with personality or that I know the person. And I take offense to that joke, that you think it's a personal thing because I know the gentleman. Just so we're clear.
Oh, it's just,
And I know it may seem like that, but I'm following the organizational chart of citizens first, mayor and council, CAO. If we are identified in the correspondence, I think it is up to us at least to deal with it publicly. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but I just feel that is open and transparent. And that is what constituents expect from their elected officials. So having said that, I feel it does fit the policy, and that's my personal opinion. Because the intent is for conservation, remediation, and clarification of conservation of water treatment. That is water that has been treated in our facility that was leachating into the ground, considerable amount, and I do feel it fits in the post.
I'll add to that, Mayor McGonigal asked me to attend that residence with them. I did not know or never met the owner of that residence. And once he explained about and showed where the pipe went underneath the pavement, because you have to remember it was a house and then it ended up a rebuild. And so the piping was underneath the sidewalk that went through and into a crawl space that as a homeowner, you would never know that it was there until he got the overage bill. Once he started to investigate, it was when he had found that. And so, yes, I look at the policy and it's how we read that policy as to whether we think that it would fit or not fit. And when I looked at it, I went, yes, this in my mind would fit that. And to other people, maybe it wouldn't. And so I would agree with Councillor McGonigal, but I also understand staff's reasoning of if you don't like the policy, it needs to be clarified better. And unfortunately, this resident is caught in between this. Councillor Austin.
Well, I had a couple of things. I know that property, there was a different house on there at the time, so they would know that sidewalk was there.
Sidewalk is, but when they went to rebuild, the person who rebuilt their house never disconnected the older.
But they would know the plumbing was there. That's the only thing. And another thing is some of the information is way back from June, July, and August of last year. It's taken a long time to bring this forward. That's all I have to say on that.
Councillor Sanders.
Yeah, I just, since, the foreman, had a couple of visits to the site. Could we ask for something back from him on just what he witnessed, what he saw, and then bring us back to our next month's committee of the whole meeting? I think for a little more, whatever that information may be, but I think we need to hear something from staff that was actually also on the site, and then let's further this discussion.
Or superintendent.
Well, he wasn't there.
Oh,
Yes.
Councillor
I
Frisbee.
just need some clarification, so there's an old tap left running, and that's what it was. How was it, why did it only just turn up now? Because obviously the homeowner didn't turn it on. So was that pipe hooked up again, or how did that happen? That's what it, because if it's a tap that they didn't turn on, that got somehow connected and is on, that's a leak. If there's neglect on him by turning the tap on or something, I don't understand that. I don't understand. Can anyone shed some light on that one?
We'd have to look at it.
The house was demolished during the contamination of a gas, adjacent gas station.
Yeah.
And during the replumbing, the replumbing was in the basement with a valve cock to the outside. Pipe was turned on. The valve cock is turned on by the remediation of the household. Not identifying where that would go.
I see.
From what I was told.
Sorry to keep this going, but that house has been there for quite a long time, the new one too. How did it just all of a sudden happen last year? Like, pardon? It's happened before. I thought this,
Ted, for clarity on that, I don't understand.
They
that.
have to look and get.
So could you bring that
The
to the next
file.
meeting then? Yeah. Please.
We just want to report from you.
Yeah, just.
on everything.
And thank you for your time,
Yeah.
not only to council, but for staff, for at least letting me bring them.
And that's for all sites too, I believe, residents to have a way to appeal. Anybody else want to add to that, or we can move on? Okay, I can find that English in the file book. So, there's still on this one. Okay, so we are on to Director of Finance for financial report ending March the 31st, please.
Thank you. The financial statements are there. Just a reminder that the 2022 numbers are pretty much final now. There might be some changes as the auditors are still working on them. A meeting date has been scheduled for April 25th to review those audited financial statements with the auditors. The budgeted numbers here are still preliminary, and there's going to be one addition to the capital, and that's for the Couch and Lake Education Center, where the septic system is failing, so we'll need to replace that at up to $40,000. So although not reflected in the capital right now, that is something to be added. The financial plan and the tax rate bylaws will also be presented to council at the April 25th meeting for the first, second, and third reading. Lakeview Park open for reservations on April 4th. There was a few bumps in the road, but it is interesting to note that 50% of the revenues were booked in the first two opening days, the one in March and then again in April. And however, the demand for July and August is tremendous. It's 3 times as much as in that. So definitely July and August are the months that everybody wants to come and book and be in the marathon. That's all I have.
Mayor McGonagall.
Through you, if I may, to our CFO. At the time of our audited financial statements, that will have a direction on surplus or deficits for the year, is that correct? And if I may continue, at that time, could there be a possibility of looking at implementing some of those surpluses to the capital project you spoke of in Kleck? And perhaps the traffic study that we had mentioned earlier. Instead of looking at taxation increases, and it's just a possibility for discussion should those numbers come forward. Is that a possibility?
So that money would be coming out of the grant,
Or which one?
especially for the.
Well, Oh, for the septic,
subject to that. So it's not gonna be taxed.
it will be coming from the community grant fund. So we'll be expending 40,000 more of that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. But on the other note, the surplus numbers will be afforded to us after the audit.
It'll be honest, yeah.
Sorry, must be in the wrong place.
That's right.
Is the septic situation for the click, is that something that's just been discovered?
Just been discovered, same, last week sometime. So in fact, we're investigating it, and what we're seeing now is, we have to further investigate it on Thursday and Friday. And that will reflect whether there's an increase or decrease in the amount that we're talking about. Brandon.
Can I follow up with
Yes, you can.
just so with the building expenses, I guess that is coming out of the grant fund, but is there any, with the forecasted losses of the click, and I think I've asked you this before, are we looking to do any advertising, SEO, social media at all going forward with the click? Or I must add that the website needs to be updated because we're still in 2022 date. So is like, I know that I've gone over this before, but I mean, we've got a business that's losing money and we've got a $0 advertising budget.
Well, I'm probably gonna give you the same answer. You know, to advertise for the months that we're full, there's really no point. For the off season, it's more difficult. And we have to rely on our website, which has been really productive for us. We believe we get a lot of requests, but mainly it's for the busier season. So to advertise is a good idea. We can advertise more for the off season. I know where you're coming from. And I have spoken to another person recently about redesigning or looking at our website to specifically mention some of the things we discussed. And so that's in progress, but there's no dollar amount attached to it.
Yeah, because the website, it is running at the SEO, search engine optimization is running at about 55%. So there is things we're missing out on, as well as being updated. But who does update it, and does that have to be costed, or is that already in the budget, or how do we make changes to that website?
We have a contract with the person who developed the website for us.
Yeah.
So if I were to show you the amount of requests that we get, you know, on a continuous basis, like almost daily, that person does update for us. And however, we're trying to look at some changes that make it a little bit easier for us to do ourselves. And that's in progress right now.
And sometimes the only splash of advertising on the website goes a long way, because when you open it up, it is a blah website. It's like the town of Cowichan's website. It's a very blah. It's very difficult to find things. And I think we really need to overall look at it. If you look at other municipalities, their websites are so easy and very straightforward. I find ours is just, and that music video is still on there.
Okay.
That music video is still
I
on there.
know, I've talked to the fellow who produced it, he said, look at eliminating that. Okay. That was a couple of weeks ago.
Do we have access to do that ourselves?
We can, yeah, but we need to explain it.
Just regarding, regarding the advertising, I still have my friends that are going to do the flyover with the drone, and they will be doing that, so that will be on the website when it gets done. Waiting for good weather. So that'll be probably another week from now, I would think, eh? It's gonna rain for a few days now.
As far as what I've noticed with the campground and the campground, was there ever any thought process on putting on a Facebook page, like announcing when things are going to be open or anything? Or with the issues that we have with the website, I feel like we're missing, like we've got a platform to share it with people, and we're not, we're just relying on.
No, we could.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that, and as I said, with the clip, like there's people in town that don't know anything about the clip, but they don't know it exists.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're kind of social media adverse at the moment, where we are technically running two businesses, and we've got a platform with Facebook at the very least. To speak on the video, I think the video on the website, it is quite good and shows everything. It would just be a matter of the author just changing the music. And then I think it's got a lot of value. We don't need to tear it down. And as far as drone footage, I mean, it can go on the website, but people gotta go looking for it. Then if it's used on our Facebook page.
On
then
Facebook,
this-
either one.
Yeah, well, it's not the same. That's what I'm trying to get across here. Like a website, you gotta look for, and you gotta dig, and I feel like what we're doing is quite archaic. From my background, and I know we had some issues with the campground bookings, but I know that we sell out and we do well there. I mean, I think just communicating more, which is what our residents want. And the key to that is getting the word out. It's not right on the website. So just my 2 cents. I think you guys can starting to pick up that I'm frustrated with how we're promoting things because I come from a business background. So that's just, I'd love to see more thought put into that. And just to piggyback on that, if I may, in the finances, the town economic development is at a 0 for the budget, but I know that we do pay into a CVRD.
Yeah.
So what do we get from the CVRD for paying into that? Is there any active programs or, because I know that the delegation we had here kind of highlighted the sectors that were struggling after the pandemic, which is hospitality, retail, and manufacturing, and that's kind of Lake Cowichan if you sum it up. So what do we get for investing that money into the development, if anything?
What they're supposed to service us, give us good service, and lately that's not really been occurring.
Yeah.
We used to come here a lot more frequently in the past.
Yeah.
Now we just get into it, just open that.
So is that a part of the CVRD, like economic development? Would that be what the delegation was here? That's the same people, so they're kind of looking into that as a
If
whole.
I could just piggyback on that, so the
Yeah.
connectivity study
Yeah.
that was identified and the delegation brought forward, that was through the economic development. Previously, they did a industrial land survey of the area, which identified some properties within the municipality that could fit within the deficiencies in industrial lands. The identification of possible movie sites within the Lake Cowichan area was brought forward on the behalf of the town through economic development. So there are small snippets that are being brought forward with the town of Lake Cowichan. Aside from having a look at an in-house economic development, I think if you look at double taxation, you would not be giving good value to the customer. If you want to have it in-house, you would look at removing or having a service review on that service of economic development within the regional district that we contribute to currently. If you don't think you're getting the value that the funds portion to.
Question for you, can we opt out of that through the CBRD?
It's a
if it's-
convoluted process of a service review, and there's legislation to remove yourself from the function. There is a process.
Mr. Sandy,
Just through the CO, what do we pay a year for this?
Around 15,000, I think. That's, give or take.
If I can just make a comment to follow up on the mayor's comment, actually. Just recently, I don't usually bring these things forward at a meeting like this because we get so many requests, and when I reply to requests, just like in any sales job, you're gonna get maybe 1 out of 10, perhaps. But we do have somebody that was referred to us to our website and nothing else for a movie in November, a small movie, 25 days. And I always hesitate to bring that kind of stuff forward, but it's not that people aren't interested in it at that time, they just look at different venues. But it didn't come from economic development, Cowichan or anything, it came from our website. And then again, to follow up on that comment, is that the person that I were talking on the phone, the movie producer in Vancouver. And then when I finally said, he went through lots of questions and everything else and prices, etc. And I've been in touch with him now for 3 times. And once was in fact yesterday. And he said, "You're right on the water." And from your website, I don't know why he didn't realize that because it's pretty clear on the water on 40 acres and pictures are pretty good. He said, you know, he gave me the name of a couple. I said, yes, I don't want to repeat the name of public, but. And one of the weddings we had, he said, oh, I was at such and such's wedding. He said, I remember talking to you from your voice, because you asked me to close the gate at the end of the night. And then I remember the conversation. So just a little bit of a fluke. But he searched a website looking for a particular venue. They are looking for a camp. And it's 25 days in November, 25 people, 25 days in a row. So November is a hard time to book them. So those things do take place, but I think the website, an improved website anytime is always better. Updated website, always better. There's no question about that.
Just so I may follow up on that. So is there something on our website that says would be a good location for that? And is it for shooting at the cliff?
They'll do everything there. There's nothing that says about there.
So
He was looking for specifically for summer camps.
yeah, is this, I've seen a lot of movies with summer camps. Is this something that we should be advertising and saying this would be a good location?
Yeah, we have advertised like that before.
Yeah, is there something I'm missing as far as advertising done before they put us off?
Yeah, but specifically, it's not on there right now that says summer camp. Very good for movies. Right? But when we work with Destination BC, etc., we talked about advertising different ways, and different people in economic development have said that they were looking on our behalf always for movies. We've had probably 10 requests for movies over the last 7 or 8 years. It's always maybe one or two a year that come out. And normally it's through our website. I don't know. And that's just background information. I'm telling you for the discussion.
At the moment, full VI or tourism, so Tourism Calgary is the contract for them is managed by full VI, who are offering a lot of free services. Could we approach them about promotion?
I've actually talked to someone by the name of Kenzie,
Yep.
and we're in contact about that kind of information, yes. Even for holding special events for around as well. So, yeah.
So I think under this one, no, we're not. Oh, are we gonna do the fire truck?
Oh, yeah.
The fire
At the
area
end, yeah.
truck, yeah, through the finance. So, are we gonna do it afterwards? Okay. Oh, down, fire, okay. I thought we were doing that under the finance.
Sorry. Where are we gonna do that during finance?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got a couple more items. to-
There's a few more items after the municipal hall update, we'll talk about the fire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
Okay, so all finance, yeah. So we're going on to Lake Howard Building Inspection Report. You move it? That's what it's two minutes about. Yeah, yeah.
Second,
So seconded, any questions on anybody on the report?
Which one's that?
First one.
Building inspection.
Yeah, building inspection.
Doesn't get a resolution. of that.
No, just any questions.
We just have to do it.
Yeah.
keeping you on your toes.
Make sure everyone's still awake. Okay, then we're going to the fire incident report.
So moved, 5,861.12.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Austin for $5,861.12. And does anyone have any questions on that?
I'll second it.
We'll second it. Oh, perfect. Any questions? Excuse me. Okay, and so we don't call a question on this, do we do? Do you make payment? Yeah. Call the question? All in favor? Unanimous, write the check. Okay. Not till the end of the month, we're gonna save that money. Very cool. Okay, so we're going on to the municipal hall update. And I will send that over to our CAO.
Well, I have indicated to council that we will be moving there at the end of this month. That's not to be, so they've come back and said, we'd be lucky if we make it in June. So what I've done is I've asked them, I've got extension on the lease on this building here. Till the end of July, so, Cop Can to cover those costs.
So, pardon me, I didn't hear
I've asked Cop Can to cover the rental cost.
the cost. Councillor Sandy. I was gonna say you've asked, but have they said they
They
will?
haven't yet.
So a couple things, so under the contract. Are they obligated?
No, because we moved out of there sooner than they wanted us to. I'm not saying they're obligated, but because of their lateness in finishing the job, I would think that they should, in some sense, be obligated.
Another comment, your memo concerned me with a specific word.
What's that?
Lackadaisical. Lackadaisical.
I can't even pronounce that.
Lackadaisical.
Lackadaisical.
Oh, license,
Like, I feel that that's just not professional, that is in a document. That's your opinion, but I think there's a bigger story to this than then just pointing the finger at the general contractor. So my concern is we just need to be careful on, because I think overall,
Yeah.
there's been mistakes on all sides. And now's not the time to point the blame, but to just try and move forward, get it completed and get in there. Mayor Hannibal?
Through you, if I may, I think it's important that we stay out of there until it is finished. We saw how destructive it was trying to stay there while they were working and trying to get business to the community, especially in tax season last year. But with our request for COTCAN to cover any future lease expansions of this facility, I think that's no different than a change order that comes from COTCAN on some things that are unforeseen. We were anticipating arriving there at the end of April. That is not going to happen. So that's an unforeseen circumstance that perhaps we should not have to embrace financially. So I think it's only a good idea to at least request that that be covered. They have been utilizing facility there adjacent to the town hall renovation as an office at no cost for the whole project. To have to bring ATCO trailer, for instance, or an office facility like in any other construction would be some financial consideration. So I personally do not want to see us try to move over there while there's still construction happening. So I hope we can continue to reside here until that at least staff area is completely finished. We could carry on our business of council and other meetings in the other facility at the fire hall if need be. If that is not completed, but I certainly hope it would be. Well, it's just my input there. Sure.
Councillor Christie.
Has there been any change orders signed since our last report a month ago?
Yes, really small.
And just,
Problem.
so we're not receiving that in reports anymore?
Well, I can give you that. Well, let's go, I think.
Because I think that we requested that we get more information on the change orders, which never really been seen.
I think that was defeated.
No, I'm not talking about
No,
us.
just a request.
That just come to us.
We wanted more
We can see
information.
it. Yeah, we want to see it. So a question to our CAO. Copland didn't,
Okay,
Copcan didn't ask us to vacate the building for them to do the work though.
no,
Am I right? It was us who
but they were asked.
decided to speed the process up. So I think that that's a hard one to ask them
Just asking
to,
for this,
yeah, when it was not them asking for us to leave the building. Councillor Austin.
The architect said that we should not be in the building while they were doing that. It wasn't really safe for the employees, the noise and everything. Yeah, he did bring that up to us.
but it was our choice to make the move.
Yeah, we needed.
Yeah,
we
she's
needed
done
to
the
make-
same, yeah, and I agree with Mayor McGonigal, it's best to give them the time to do what they need to do before we subject staff to move back in. Council Frisbee.
I hope that COP can give the same consideration when they price their change orders, but I don't know about that. Just as far as the change orders, have we had any feedback from a consultant about the change orders that have come through the pipeline?
Just one, I think.
And
He
support
said
of
he
it?
thought it was a bit high on one. And that's been passed on to the architect.
Yeah.
He's got no response.
It's already something that's been signed off.
Signed off.
I guess,
On the recommendation of the individual. who signed off.
okay.
Councillor Sanders.
Just one more question. So with us pushing back our time to go in there, is the cost to have the architect be our representative, is that cost going to increase from?
Yes,
And so could I ask through council, through you, that we get an estimate? I mean, we can't have it just a blank check
Yeah.
every month.
okay,
And maybe that if he could come back, say at our May meeting, our regular meeting or a committee of the whole meeting in May, one of them, just to give us,
you really want that because it's costing us each time.
well, it's costing, we don't know what he does that it's
Yeah, the
costing
only
us.
issue, if he comes here, he gives a little spiel and he leaves happy.
Well, we're not happy. That's-
Yeah, but that's not the bait to him.
Well, I would be more forefront in questions, but I'm trying to be respectful in the process. There's a lot of questions I'm sure we all would like to ask and that we're not, but maybe it's time that we just lay it out there.
Oh, sorry.
If I understand correctly, the contract with the architect is just time billing. That's it. So whatever time he's
Yeah.
spending on, is what his billing is for. So, I guess he wouldn't be able to tell us how much work he's got left either.
He might be, yeah, he may be hard pressed, but he can give us that.
Well, we're at 80 and 90% on lots of them, and it does look good, so I think it's sooner or later we're gonna be in there.
We're gonna be over 3 months.
Yeah, we'll be.
We'll forget about it.
memory. Yeah, forget about it, unfortunately. But I'm sure people experiencing building homes now could tell you a lot of stories too. Unfortunately, but, okay, well, any other questions, or we're gonna move on to the fire truck, the aerial truck. There we go.
And I think Councillor Frisbee brought this forward, but we did say we would discuss it at a future meeting, so this is the future meeting. We did have a little bit of input from the fire chief on the possibility of at least looking out and pricing, but he needed some direction from council if that was something that we would suggest that he do. He gave us a sort of a financial overage of what that might entail. So I don't want to broach any numbers, but I would certainly give the fire chief approval to go and investigate the possibility of a second-hand ladder truck and bring back pricing of that for consideration. We do have a little bit in the equipment reserve in the fire department of $190,000 and another contribution of this year. So it's not to say that we would expend all of that, but depending on what the price comes back at, then we could have that wholesome discussion moving forward, whether it's time to do it now or to wait for the process to move a little further down. But we do have some further large buildings within the community. I think imminently we will need that apparatus moving forward, given the discussion that the fire chief gave on safety, access and egress to those high buildings.
So question to the CAO, if a fire truck did come up fairly quickly, would we hold a special approval meeting? Because we'd hate to see something take too long to come to the table that we've got settled out from underneath us.
Well, there was an office thing that came
Yeah.
up this year. And the fire chief wasn't ready for it at the time. So it'll depend on what he thinks is the best solution. If he comes to you and says, well, I've got a fire truck in that I can buy for $50,000, let's say. Then it's sufficient.
Okay, so we could do it in a good time frame to secure it. Okay, thank you. Councillor Brisbane?
It was expressed that we need a temporary shelter or some kind of shelter for this.
Yeah.
Would that be staff's job to look into that, or would that be the fire chief's job?
I know it would be staff, for the fire chief.
Right, so I guess that's the instruction that we should be looking at, a fire truck as well as a temporary shelter for that.
And you want to wait till what?
I think it's direction. Just,
Who's given direction?
I think I already did.
Yeah, we are direction to
Should
staff.
it be a motion?
Oh, if you want a motion, it most certainly can. I would move that the fire chief be approved to investigate pricing of the apparatus device as discussed earlier and shelter for said device.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Sandu, all in favor? Unanimous? Okay, so that's the fire truck. Nothing for, I don't think, for Parks and Recreation, unless you want an update from our superintendent.
Yeah, I don't have anything new other than our gardeners are back to work and cleaning up the garden, flower beds, fields.
You're looking good.
Just in terms of the sanding dump, I know that you've got to wait for the budget to be approved. If we approve it at that meeting that we've got it scheduled for, would there be enough time to get the sanding dump in before the busy camping season? Or would we want to approve for them?
I would have to go back and see if they're still have in stock available. Before, when I looked into it, they had them.
So you don't think it's gonna be a time issue to get them installed
I
before?
don't think so.
Okay.
It's not that much work to put them in.
So can we brought to the next meeting?
Will we bring it to the regular meeting so that you? Sorry.
Yeah, you'll be giving first, second, and third reading anyway.
Mhm.
So I'll give it,
Approve the
that
budget.
will allow the superintendent to go ahead with the process.
So we can, superintendent can look into it now and then.
Yeah. Unless you change your mind. Take it out.
No, we're not doing that. Okay, so it's coming forward anyway. Okay. So we're going on now to BC Hydro regarding the gleaning grant in Lake Cowichan. I think a lot of it is going to be near the bus shelter.
2 places.
Two places. If you want to give us an update on that. I mean,
The
you come
next,
here for something, so you know. Yeah.
the next couple of months, next month, we'll be looking into which trees we're gonna purchase and how many, get some pricing, and then through the summer, we'll planting them. There's a couple of locations, one at the new bus stop there and the Savvy Park.
Thank you. Any questions out there in the bottom?
Thank you very much, and we were discussing this in CAO's office about purchasing fruit and nut trees. We are buying a fruit tree, it's a Japanese cherry, but it's a non-berry fruit tree.
Yeah.
So we're very cognizant of those being attractants, and we were discussing the need to keep the wildlife encounters from our trees. There will be no apple trees, I hope, there will be no plum trees. And unfortunately, the projects like that have been implemented in communities like Seattle and are more in a metropolitan area that wildlife do not encounter those and are utilized for food service. I don't think it would work in a rural setting such as ours with wildlife interactions. The only fruit trees coming are hopefully Japanese cherries.
Councillor Sandu.
At the Couch and Lake River Stewardship meeting last week, I actually remembered this, so I sent an email to our CAO asking just a little detail, so I sent it to me and then I read it out to them and I read out the trees. Well, they were so happy, they thought we're being proactive, we're climbing, all this kind of stuff, so I looked favorable that night, so.
So the unfortunate thing is when I sent these trees to the superintendent, he was aghast, because he thought some of them were fruit trees.
Oh.
So did I.
Gonna leave that one there.
If I may, especially at the bottom of the list, when you see the. pear tree.
Ornamental.
The ornamental pear does that. Mine was the opposite. I saw them going in at the new bus shelter and was thinking about all the cherry blossoms going down into the streams and clogging gutters, etc. But I just think it's all, go back to organic
Just
use anyway.
so you know, I was here to hear about making sure that the application went in. The last thing.
Picking the right trees.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that. Thank you very
Maybe you could
much.
do the first shovel of dirt
There you go.
and do a photo op, we'll put it on the website.
Okay, so from that one, we're going
Oh,
to,
I have one more thing, if I may. I want
One
to thank
more.
staff for the work on this and, trying to reduce our GHG emissions. This is a small step in that direction. We're moving forward with our GHG, emission reductions in the town hall upgrade, for instance, with the upgrade of HVAC system, the upgrade of the windows, the upgrade of the insulation. So if we can deal with the CLEC on their utilization of fossil fuels with the heat pump, I think we're moving in the right direction. So just wanted to get that out there. Thanks, staff, for all the work.
I was thinking which one, I think I got the right show, but I was going the two Perry Masons, just one more question, just one more thing, is that Perry Mason?
No, it's Colombo.
Colombo, just one more, just one more thing.
One more thing.
So annoying.
What?
I
Just
love
one
it,
more.
that is annoying.
It's great, the conversation is always good.
Right.
Okay, Trailblazers, request for sign placement, is there an update?
I can give you a
Yes.
verbal.
Sure.
Our sign bylaw is fairly clear on it. It does not allow third party signs to be located anywhere in the town. Third party meaning on town property. Meaning off premises signs that advertise goods, products, services, or facilities. So they are not allowed in town. So I think what the Trailblazers are looking for is, we just got a letter from them today, is to put another kiosk by where the kiosk, the current kiosk is, or they want to be able to replace the panels on the current kiosk. And the thing to remember is we can't allow the Trailblazers to advertise on our facility. You may want to allow them to put up one of those sheets advertising mountain biking, that stuff, but nobody should get any credit in terms of what's going to, you can't advertise Trailblazers or the First Nations or the town even, because once we put it on, put that sign up there, it's out. Because so the only thing I can see us doing is allowing them to come up with a design showing just the mountain biking as something something that could be promoted here, but nobody gets credit in terms of any organization. That could be allowed.
So like a map type of thing?
Yeah, and just showing where it is, but
Design it.
nobody gets credit. So I think that's all we can do, because unless you want to change the bylaw and say third party signs can go up as long as town approves it. But currently, the sign bylaw does not permit that.
More of an information map is what you're saying.
Yeah, information map, but without any reference to the Trailblazers.
Just the actual name. How does the Chamber of Commerce signs at Saywell Park fall under that?
Yeah, they actually, that sign, that shouldn't be there.
Or shouldn't it?
Yeah, they are located on town property without our permission.
So they just wait for it.
Yeah,
They
that was Jim.
just winged it. So I mean, technically, we should have them to remove it. We haven't gotten there.
We'll go to first and then to Councillor
I
Austin.
just think on a positive note, though, for example, like, hiking trails are very important. And in the visitor center, for sure, I mean, if they have maps and stuff like that, we'll make sure that our staff know to promote those trails, I think that's a different
That's
matter.
a different matter.
Yeah,
Not,
and even our staff, the first thing I would expect them to do is, I'll ask them to make sure they are aware of the trails.
yeah,
So that we'd be advertising our community, so
that's the,
we'll definitely work with any organization to promote it, that's for sure. It's a very positive deal.
Councillor Austin.
I was at the kiosk, when was I there? Saturday, I think, and probably a couple of the signs the kids have damaged quite a bit. I mean, there might be one that could be changed and could have those on it. We did have people that were cycling and they were going to Shawnigan, so we showed them the maps that are in there for the Trans-Canada Trail now. But there might be one of the panels that you could change to put those on. We just have to pick which one. And I've got all the information from the original ones, but they came from Mad Dog Graphics, who is no longer there. So you would have to go with Leon's, maybe if they could copy the size and everything. I went and picked them all up. So there could be a room for one panel. We just have to figure out which one.
like panel with no reference to. the trail.
Yeah, yeah, I could just say a map.
No one heard. Okay. Mayor McGowan.
Thank you, and I think to allow identification of any organization on public property is contrary to what our intent of the sign bylaw is. And I agree with CAO on that. They do have a map with a QR code that shows where all the trails are, with no identification of insignias of any group.
Yeah.
Could be placed within that.
Right.
And I think that may be an avenue, because people nowadays, when they're riding their bikes, they're using the phone for directions or GPS. Scan the QR code on that map if it is located in the kiosk, and it'll point you to the direction of the trails that they have accommodated for that hiking, as he puts it, hiking. But no identification of any organization group, I think is important. Unfortunately, we can't be the advertising agency for the societies, etc. within public plans. It would be interesting if they could have placed this within their land use agreement, but that has not been afforded to them either. That would be at least an option moving forward to show those who are visiting on that kiosk where possibilities are for that recreation. So if we can look at that as maybe a possibility with some correspondence indicating that our angst on advertising identifications, just the QR code would be sufficient in my opinion. And if that map can be given to the visitor center with that QR code in it, anyone who's coming in on bikes or vehicles and moving from there could utilize that as well. Just my thought.
Sorry, I'm just learning this bylaw, but there's a number of signs in town that already have third-party societies, whether it be the River Stewardship or the Kinsman or the Chamber of Commerce. Like, how long has this bylaw been in place, or are they just kind of?
Well, there's a grandfather clause too.
There's a grandfather.
Existence prior to.
The society?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So a society that's been in existence for a long time.
And they've had the sign years ago.
And what's the idea behind that? Because obviously those societies aren't benefiting financially because they're society. So maybe ask you, maybe, what is the idea behind it?
I think the intent is not to afford any extraordinary opportunity to entities through the corporation of the town of Little Cowichan. Legislatively, we have to be very careful on encouraging improvements for business opportunities, etc. As a society, that they are nonprofit, so they do have some options for finances to advertise that opportunity would be contrary to the legislation, I would think. Yeah. And contrary to the sign bylaw, which stipulates also. In the Kinsman, I think you're referring to the Kinsman Duck Pond, the signage there, which was approved in the improvement stage. That to be implemented as it was grandfathered.
And the ribbon stewardship signs.
For stewardship, I think they came forward for approval outside of the sign by law. And that was a one-time consideration of by law. Perhaps if I may, through you, Madam Chair of the CAO, could I forward this email to the rest of council that they can see the map and
Yeah.
and the consideration of that? I will forward that in tonight and you can have a look at least what may be implemented in the kiosk. And I'm not going to do one more.
And I wondered if I could respond to Mr. Dave on that issue. Just basically outlining what's out there.
Please do.
Well, so we're moving on to public works and environmental services. And that's where I wanted to broach the subject with the superintendent of a better handicap sign at the post office because the existing one is painted. And the one user that does park there says that if there's people drive in, they're not looking down, they're looking straight ahead. And also if there's snow on the ground, you can't see that there's actually a handicap parking sign, much like the one outside. So I told her I'd bring it forward to council to see if there was any way to have one installed upright that it can be easily viewed. And so the superintendent had agreed to bring it on tonight's agenda, and he would look into the possibility of maybe the post office allowing one to be put on the outside of their building, or, but if we maybe leave that with superintendent, unless there's other discussion here at the table. Councillor Austin?
Yeah, they might allow that because they have the non-idling sign on their wall that we got put on a few years ago. So that might work.
That would work too. And I don't know whether there's other places in town that have handicap designation that may not be also as well visible, that maybe staff can look at the same time if you're ordering one sign. And you might find a few more that we don't know about. Maybe over at our new town hall. Right, new parking there, you're gonna need handicap parking. Council only signs. Just did the
Mayor McGonagall
They're only.
With a charging port.
Charging port at a coin meter, okay.
The traffic sign.
It's okay.
No, that's the next one.
Oh, I see. You put it
Yeah,
ahead of
that
it.
one
Okay.
works.
You put it ahead of it. Okay.
Okay, so we'll just leave that with the superintendent and staff, thank you. Traffic study for the uptown, including Point Ideal Drive, budget consideration. Mayor
And
McGonagall?
that was brought forward as a late item on possible consideration for budget, so
25,000?
I think it was 25 that we were looking at, if we could accommodate something in that. Going forward, if that is not enough money, then would we consider postponing it, moving that funds forward to a next year budget? I just want to get an idea of how imperative, I think it's important to get that study and to identify how we can maybe improve the flow within that portion during the busy season. But it's also important to get that traffic information in the busy season, not now. There is no traffic flow problem on Point Ideal or up towards the arena or the areas that are basically really inundated during the summertime. So I just wanted to get an idea of if it's imperative for this year to move forward in the budget or to budget that for 2024 with a possible addition for an expanded traffic study. in that.
You're saying,
This has a little something to do with it, but when the commissioners start, could we ahead of time have something go out to our community that it's going to be 2 hours from this date to this date timeframe? So be aware that there could be possible ticketing type of thing, just so we're being proactive with this year. And nobody can say we haven't done our due diligence in informing the community that whatever areas they're going to be overseeing, that's in this. And
to inform businesses.
I would say inform the public. Just,
well, I would say both.
well, both will
Yeah.
see it, but
Yeah,
yes,
both will
absolutely.
see. But you do have a lot of.
A business,
seniors
a
that-
letter to the businesses, and then however you do advertise with the community. But I just think if we do that this year, then nobody can say we haven't given them heads up on. And you don't have to say what days of the week or anything, it's just a time frame from whatever date
Yeah.
to the end of the day.
I'll yield to Councillor Frisbee.
No, I think just to your point, I think it is important that we do get the study done because it's becoming a safety issue. And just to piggyback on that, when new developments are being proposed, do we ever do traffic studies or require traffic studies? And
We will require them, but no,
what did that happen with the Point Ideal development? At the
that
end?
was, I don't think that. Yeah, I think they did provide a study.
Phase 7 did provide.
They did, yeah.
Yes. And if I may, there was considerable input from other phase owners on that exact issue, on how they view the expansion of traffic within that and how it narrows up that development. And if you're done, I will carry on. So if that fund is not enough for an expansive traffic study, at least if we budget 25,000 this year. And I'm gonna ask a question through you, Madam Chair, to either the CAO or the CFO. Any funds from the parking infractions, could that be utilized going forward for a traffic study? So if we are receiving fines from those who are over parking, could that be utilized in future to negate some of those traffic issues? I believe it would depend on how you would write up the contract to the commissioners, how that would be utilized. But I'm just throwing that out as a possibility of any revenues that would be generated by that, if they could be utilized into that traffic study portion. If need be.
My first question would be, how are the commissioners paid?
Well, that's the thing, we have to determine what the difference there is. A couple of years ago, we did make money because we weren't paying anybody else. We weren't paying the commission at that point, but this time we will be. So we'll have to look at and come back to you before.
If I may ask, can we approach someone about this parking thing sooner so we can get an idea? Like it'd be a private company, so you think they'd be able to service or come up with some of these budget things pretty quick for us to look at.
You thought, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think the biggest question is enough money, so pretty sure we can find out in a couple of weeks.
And if I may, I think the intent was to focus on the uptown core on this first study. And just from that, we can expand it as funds become available or the budget process to look at the downtown core as other options for traffic improvements. I think we have brought one forward in the next one, so we'll discuss that at the time, but.
Question to our CAO, I think we did it with the snow removal budget. If for some reason we can't get this study done this year, can we take this 25,000 and put it into I guess you call it a reserve fund? to go with next year's, like, or would it go back in? Because I'd hate for us not to have the time to do it this year, next year have to go through the budget again and not have enough.
Yeah, what you can do is pass a resolution saying that if that money's unspent, that it be re-budgeted out of surplus.
We would do that,
Towards, we will find out soon enough
yeah,
whether we can do it or not.
okay, and then if we can't, we can bring that forward as a special resolution at the table, so wishes.
Yeah, just sort of, we'll remember what to do next year.
I know what happens is we always get through the busy time and then we go, okay, we'll wait to do this for next year, and then all of a sudden the season's almost here. And we run out of the time or availability of having the contractors, so it'd be nice to get a jump on it ahead of time. Councillor Frisbee?
Is the MOTI visited us yet?
No, I left them numerous calls and emails. He's not returning.
Councillor Mayor McGonigal,
I think-
did you, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, demoted.
I just have a quick question, like, haven't we done traffic studies in the past that show us that we've got traffic? And ultimately, no, I'm not being facetious, actually, but we have heavy traffic in the winter or in summer. Because we're trying to attract people here through tourism and for our businesses. Sometimes traffic is not such a bad thing. It does slow the community down, makes people go into places. I mean, so I understand the traffic study if we know there's alternative routes. But have there been identified routes in the past that were ignored? I don't know.
In previous, if I may, in previous studies, I think it just indicated numbers
Yeah.
through MOTI, for instance. There was no, for instance, diversionary alternate routes that were considered in that. And that's the intent, I think, for this traffic study is to look at how we can manage the flow better to get the congestion from the uptown center to wherever it has to go. Do we look at one ways, for instance? Do we look at one side parking on Point Ideal, for instance, leaving the other side as access and egress? That would come forward in this information on how we can accommodate that flow better. It's not to say that we're gonna close all the roads and not allow people in with the gate at Highway 18. We want people to come here. And we want them to also be able to find a place to park, find a place to get out and visit our community and our businesses and our restaurants, but not worry about how they're gonna get there. So and the unfortunate thing is, because MOTI is the main thoroughfare, we have to accommodate that into consideration as well. We all know the Point Ideal intersection is problematic in the summertime. So is there some way that we can accommodate that as well?
Yeah, I think on the traffic study on the uptown side, you may have to work with the MOTI because it's their highway.
Yeah. And aside from that portion, we're looking also at Point Ideal, we're looking at towards the arena, how that flow can accommodate within MOTI. And I know there's no room there for a roundabout, but maybe a traffic light. Oh my God, did you say traffic light?
Did you
Yes, I
say
did.
traffic light?
And another option we have is Fern, obviously Fern's a closed off road at the moment. So we have one intersection going at Point Ideal, with the road that's available to us. And that's something I'd like to get out of the studies, whether we're using all these, and I know there's issues with the owner at the end of Fern and things like that, and who pays that, but if there could be another option to take off that congestion and maybe we don't have to deal with the MOTI.
The Fern one has been looked at a few times,
Yeah,
hasn't
the
it?
cost is what's prevented us from doing it. 100,000 estimate that we got on that.
And that was to the, and that was to the property owner, or was that to us? 'Cause it
Well,
was-
the project would have cost that, and we were hoping he would be the owner, but he said yes at the time. And then they,
I hadn't finished it. Coming out of there is difficult because you can't, it's hard to see up the hill. I come out of there a few times. Yeah, I did think it should be opened at one point, but I have my doubts, but I just want to say, has anybody ever been to Victoria during tourism time and drive along the waterfront and Belleville, just so you know, it's difficult when you have a lot of tourists and we go that way a lot, so. Pardon?
Get in some horses.
Yes, that's, you could start a business for horses or maybe.
I'll make a motion, Madam Chair, that we direct staff to investigate the possibility of a traffic study in the uptown core at the amount of. Well, I don't want to say that in a meeting for the consultants to know what they're charged, as discussed in the budget process.
Looking for seconder, Councillor Sandu, all in favor? Unanimous,
Thank you.
thank you. And so that's the traffic study, now we're going to, got everything. New business, which is the Otaki delegation.
One more than that now.
Oh, first up. Oh, sorry.
Darnell is the leave of absence and CEO tax is there.
I've got Darnell, down under new business.
Yeah, but it would be the third one because we started with Otaki A
Yeah, Otaki was A,
and then we
leave of absence B, and Darnell is C.
sorry,
I'm
yeah.
not very organized some days, but today was my day. So Otaki delegation update.
Okay, they're doing really well. They've got more bottle drives, April 15th, 22nd, hot dog sale, Country Grocer, another bottle drive on the 29th, another hot dog sale on the 13th, if you're by Country Grocer. They're doing fresh chickens as well, I think Paul is doing that one. And Paradise Island cheese, these guys are really going for it, I'm telling you. If you ever need anything done, get this group to help you because they're doing really well. They're doing Peaks Coffee as well. They're going to do another cash raffle in a while, and their bake sales. And I did receive today from Ayako, I will say her name wrong. Is it Ayako? Ayako. Their schedule for September, and I did tell her that the 30th was a holiday, but they look like they want to come on the 30th, which is a Saturday, September 30th. Stay Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Now, I believe for the school, the Monday will be the holiday, but they haven't told me yet. It's usually if a holiday is on a Saturday or a Sunday, it depends whether it's Friday or Monday. So, I just told her that Saturday is a holiday. That might be the day that we decide to do a dinner with them or something. And then the group that's going this year, I did mention to them that they would be the homestays and they would host people during that time because we don't have a budget this year for that. Like it's every other year. So if the school is open on the Monday, once I get a hold of Mrs. Batty, they could probably meet at the school on Monday. They should go to the school. I was there today with the chap and in the social justice class. And so anyway, I've received that. I'll just let you know, let them know, let the school know and see how it goes with there. But they're doing a great job, our people. They had one dropout, I think, but they still have 11.
10 students, 7 adults.
Well, she said one just dropped out, but I've got 11 on this sheet.
Yeah.
Okay, the one that dropped out isn't on that list, but anyway, it doesn't matter.
So question, is it normally protocol to send a gift with that delegation?
Town to town.
And should we be looking at that?
Yeah, something close to the
Yeah,
Closer to the
something will
meeting
be
time.
coming on and.
Yeah, July, before July, so June would be a good time, or even any time now.
Okay,
They're getting gift ideas ready from them to the different people they're staying with, you know, the pins and the maple syrup and all that, so we have to find something different.
okay, thank you for the update. So we'll move on to leave of absence for Mayor McGonigal.
I am requesting a leave of absence for the April 25th council meeting. And if you need a reason, I can give it, but
I can't give her for more this time.
without more
Without
information.
Can we take everybody
Can we
with
bring
you?
it up to the next meeting of council?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'll move for Mayor McGonigal to be away on April 25th, 2023.
Thank you.
And Dave seconder, Counselor Walters.
Never mind.
Pepper, all in favor? Okay, everyone in favor? Okay, then we're moving on to Darnell Road intersection, Counselor Frisbee.
I think this has been alluded to in meetings I've been a part of, and it may have been brought forward to council before. But I was wanting some more information on the Darnell Road intersection. I've had some close calls on that one with the crosswalk, and I'm wondering if we should bring up, or if there is discussion on just a right-hand turn down that one to Calvin Lake Road. So I believe that we've been given advice that should go through, but it has been defeated for council.
Well, actually, I don't think it went to a vote by council, it was just direction from the mayor today.
That he didn't want to proceed with. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I thought
There was, it's to do with the sidewalk. It's to do with that sidewalk on the right-hand side. They said it's too hard for the trucks, but sidewalk on the right-hand side in front of Ferns.
Yeah,
Because I think it should be a right-hand turn for sure. I would definitely go for that.
Trucks coming out, I believe, from Country Grocery, the liquor store, trying to make that right turn only.
Yeah, but it's just because of the sidewalk that is quite wide there. But I mean, they could probably still do it. They just go, if you're ever watching the big trucks come out of a lot of streets, they drive right up like that and people wait for them. So, you know.
who was it that gave us advice on that to be a right-hand turn if that
The
didn't?
ministry
And the RC.
and the RC.
I'd like to motion, oh, sorry, can I talk to the superintendent on your opinion on that? The right turn on Darnell Avenue, do you have an opinion on that one?
We'll look at it, but
Okay.
I will reserve my opinion.
I think given that we've had input from MOTI and on the implementation of a right-hand turn, that would negate some of the problems within that crosswalk of trying to turn left and looking this way and then not seeing the person in the crosswalk because they didn't push the button. So that is one of my pet peeves in those pedestrian controlled crosswalks. That without utilizing that, that gives you a visual, at least from arm's length away, that there is someone using that as access and egress. I would certainly hope that we could implement that moving forward, and we would move that, I would support it.
Councilor Frisbee to bring it forward for. The second or fourth.
Bring it, to get on the table.
To get it off the table. Yeah, the seconder, so Councilor Walker. And so you're gonna make a motion then to,
I think he made the motion to make it a right-hand only turn, seconded by Councillor Austin. Given the advice we have received in the past from the Ministry of Transportation Infrastructure and the RCMP to implement right-hand turn only at Darnell. How's that?
That was pretty.
Councilor.
Well, I'm confused.
Yeah,
Like, it's not our decision
Yeah.
to do that. We have to, don't we still have to have permission from MOTI? Like, we can tell them we want it. I've been wanting it for years.
But they did give
They
us
told us.
It's our road. Darnell is.
But-
our
that
road.
else,
Then
they did
people-
give us permission, just a matter of putting up a sign, that's what they want.
Okay, well, I go for the sign. All right.
But if I may, I think it's important that we inform MOTI.
Yes.
That's our
Yeah.
intent.
Yeah.
To make Darnell a right hand only and for consideration to mention that to the RCMP as well.
Yeah.
With their input on that, I think it's important to at least keep them both approach what intention to have.
and could it come back with also recommendations from our public works that we want to know?
They're not happy.
Because he said he wanted to look at it.
They're not happy.
Looking won't be enough,
Huh?
looking won't be.
He can look tonight. on
He
the-
can look on his way home and
Get in a
see.
big semi truck and do a drive.
So I do the right or the left. Councilor Ross.
If we ever get the right hand sign in, they have to put a sign too saying traffic has changed, so people know that that's a right hand only. You know, they do put that yellow sign that says the change in that, they do that, somebody will do that.
Yeah.
I'm not confused on the process. Can we do this or is there somewhere we can go to? Is it up to us to do this?
That's
Can we
right.
give direction to the board, a motion for this to happen?
That's right. And we just want to advise, and the mayor's like advise the ministry.
So we're approving it and we're going to advise.
Yeah. Good, finally.
before we have it.
That's what.
It's
I was
actually
gonna
quite
say.
simple.
Yeah.
Just put in one more roundabout down the other end of town, and then you turn right only, case closed.
Forever.
Done.
You just keep turning.
Just make
One of the illegal-
every intersection
Okay.
right-hand turn only. Or one way.
You're laughing.
One, yeah. So we're gonna call the question then to install a right-hand turn only sign at Darnell Road. And to consult with the RCMP and ministry inform, the Ministry of Transportation of our changes. All in favor? Unanimous. Get out of the mall. We'll all suffer our shoes. Okay, and you know, this is a motion. Yes. Yes, Councillor Sandu.
I can't see that.
The sidewalk thing might be a bit of an issue. That's what I.
Well, I've seen them drive over sidewalks, people.
They go over the roundabout.
Oh, that would be.
Okay, notice of motion.
Yes, at the next committee of the whole meeting on May 9th, 2023, I'd like to have staff be directed to provide a report on emergency planning for the town of Lake Cowichan. What I'm looking for is a high-level understanding of the risks we anticipate and the resources required to address those risks. And whether that's May or June, I just want to give that I think this council table needs to be more aware of the emergency preparedness. Because an emergency isn't going to be a planned date. It's going to be something that just happens. And in our area, what is the anticipated emergencies that you're working with the sea that could happen? And what is the resources that would be needed?
Just piggybacking on that, given that we're moving to a regional emergency operations center. But still understanding that each area within the region has its own autonomy and risks. We have been identified as an interface, forest interface, high risk area. As opposed to Cowichan Bay, which will be the tsunami zone. So is that what you're looking for, the identification of that? The utilization of the newly incorporated regional emergency
Yes.
operations center and the local emergency
Yes.
operations? Just want to make it clear of what you're looking for. Thank you.
And just for one kind of comment on this, like if council did like a plan, an afternoon or a morning session on this, an education to educate us on this within the town, I would be happy for that. But how I feel is that we, as a council, as a counselor, I have no idea if there was something that happened tonight overnight. What is our staff supposed to be doing? What are we as a council? Is there anything we're supposed to do in any shape or form? What is the community supposed to do? We've got to plan because it's not, if something's gonna happen, something will happen.
On the council spot, the only individual that's involved is the mayor.
Yes, no, I don't mean what my role will be in any shape or form, but if there is something overall, then we need to understand, so.
I feel like the owl. Councillor Frisbee.
Maybe I'm wrong, but isn't there a plan in place already that we have? So it's just got to be shared with us.
Yeah, it's got its questions.
Yeah. So if a emergency happened tomorrow, would be.
The mayor would declare the emergency and we'll.
And then there's already a plan in place as to what.
Yeah, and then we'll get the CPRD involved. If it's something we can't handle ourselves.
Yeah.
We've had a few emergencies,
Yeah,
flooding. I can't think of anything else, outage.
So if the CBRD can't make it up because Highway 18 is blocked, there's a plan in place already,
Well, we'll just have to take care of it. So,
just figure it out.
But do you have that in place for what bodies within our town, organizations, RCMP, fire department, whatever, that they know what their role is for a specific emergency?
we have to go
It's just educating, it's education.
So the notice motion then is for staff to bring back a plan. Yeah, and then we have discussion there. Mayor.
If I may, I'm wondering if the tabletop exercise may be appropriate
That would
at a
be-
later date too, accommodating the RCMP and
Not-
the police and fire department. Once,
not at the meeting, but special.
just a tabletop with
Yeah.
yourself, staff, and council on, and then get the idea of what would be implemented in this situation. There's been a number of them in the regional district, whether it was fires and that sort of thing. And as we move into a regional approach of this, we have much more access to expertise within that operation for utilization outside of the core. So all areas that are contributing to that could be using that expertise in a situation that may or will arise. So that's important to know where that resides as well. Taking into, also hoping that moving forward, that there could be an emergency operations volunteer group that comes forward to help with the implementation of that plan, as was in the past, there was that committee that was together.
Yeah.
If moving forward in that tabletop exercise could identify whether that group should be resurrected or reincarnated in another avenue, piggybacking on the regional aspect of the emergency plan.
That was for input at the next meeting. Any other notice of motion? Okay, so then we're down to question period, which is limited to items on the agenda tonight. So for off-site people, you can email us at general@lakecowichan.ca. Or in person, we don't have anybody. So once again, for off-site, email general@lakecowichan.ca. And we'll take a 5-minute, no break, no break.
Email.
Okay. And emails for how long?
They'll come at a later date, Madam Chair.
Oh, they'll come
Answer them after that.
Wait, question.
That's the intent, I believe.
Yeah.
Right,
Just for process, shouldn't we say that at the start of the meeting?
instead of at the end.
We're not gonna wait for the question, because they can only ask
Yeah.
questions on this agenda.
Yeah, we have implemented that in the previous meeting. I don't think we did state it at the beginning, but moving forward, we'll do that.
Yeah, that would be better.
You want to wait
We did get a question. We'll get it before the meeting. And we
Before the
answered
meeting?
before the meeting.
Okay,
So we did answer that question about budgeting.
okay. Can you share that with us? General.
Do we have it there?
I do. He said there was a discussion about paid parking and using commissioner for the ticketing. He didn't see that in the budget to cover the expense with it dropped.
And we gave it.
What was the answer?
And he said, no paid parking is contemplated, other than parking being limited to hours after which fines are levied. Fines should cover the cost, commissioners.
If for tonight's meeting, we would like to take a short recess and hope someone emails us, we can do that, and then moving forward in our process, we can have that identified at the beginning of the approval agenda. Okay, so let's wait for 3 minutes for the email that's gonna come.
Lots.
It's in 3 minutes. So.
What happened? So no, this is a motion and no discussion.
Yeah, we don't send the dates out.
Because we don't have to explain it all, just like this.
6 words. We want on the agenda. Yeah.
Adjournment. Counselor Austin, seconded by Mayor McGonigal. All in favor?
Wiggled his hand.
To my right, I didn't want to turn my neck
No,
again.
look that way, look that way.
All in favor? Yeah, we're adjourned. Turn that owl off.
Yeah, no, it's totally good.